So after a really lovely weekend of glorious weather, here's the words I've been wanting to say for a couple of days. It's a bit cold, isn't it? Good morning. Welcome to Monday. Welcome to another day of running. Welcome to the Boat of Garten. Don't worry, there's no boats here. In the Boat of Garten, it's one of the few places in the UK where you can still see red squirrels. Capercaillie Friendly Woods. So although it's called Boat of Garten, there's no boats here, but it refers back to the Old Gaelic word Boat of Garten, which meant the boat crossing the river. So let's go and follow into the woods that will end up hopefully at the Boat of Garten train station. Boat of Garten is part of the Cairngorm National Park, the biggest national park in the UK. So there's lots of fantastic paths and trails to follow and places to get lost in. I'm going this way. Woodland fauna, badger, roe deer, red squirrel. I think there's 25, but I think there's really 26. Number 26 being the lost runner. Boat of Garten is also called the Osprey Village, as ospreys returned here in the 1950s to nest here after being extinct in the UK for decades. There's also an Osprey Village. That's for day 54. Am I getting ahead of myself? Let's carry on. I was reflecting last night about 40 years of Live Aid. And I can still remember that Saturday, sitting in my living room, hoping that the VHS tape wouldn't run out before your favourite band came on. And as it was live shown on BBC, they would cut to the studio in between each act performing, and they would happily discuss their performance, what they thought of the day so far. All very lovely, very calm. Cut to a couple hours later, another set finishes. This time one of the guests is Bob Geldof. Now Bob's sitting there being asked very nice, happy questions. He doesn't look happy. And then he speaks directly to the camera with words that I'm not going to repeat. But the essence was, I'm glad you're watching this. I'm really happy you're enjoying it. But give us your money. We need your money. This is not for your entertainment. Please give us money. So obviously they apologised for the language used, but the message was completely correct. It wasn't for our enjoyment to record our favourite bands and acts. It was for us to take part, to contribute. Bob Geldof, the year before that, was a very famous pop star, but like all pop stars, the Boomtown Rats were just on a decline. So now, fast forward 1 year later, Do They Know It's Christmas has been released, biggest selling single in the UK, and now Live Aid. Bob Geldof didn't want to be a hero, he just wanted to make a difference, and I think that's fabulous. And that's why this morning, while I'm running through the Boat of Garten, I've got this t-shirt on. This is Groot. If you don't know Groot, all he says is the following 3 words: I am Groot. But what he's holding is a mixtape. And if you've watched Guardians of the Galaxy, Star-Lord has left Earth, but his most prized possession is a mixtape of music. And it just shows music can make a difference. Music can change the world. I can see a large rock in front of me. I think if I stood on that rock, you would get some great views. But today, Frank, just keep running. We're just heading to the Boat of Garten Railway. There's also a golf course in Boat of Garten. It was designed in the 1930s by a 5 times Open champion. Some people say it's one of the best golf courses in the UK, if not in the world. Now, I don't play golf at all, but I play crazy golf. Is that the same thing? Now that you know that I love to tell a story and then finish it off with a little bow on top. So here's a really interesting fact if you like your pop music. Yesterday I mentioned all about my love of Smash Hits, the magazine that came out every 2 weeks. It was the only way as a teenager you would keep up with popular music. Did I also mention to you that my favourite band is the Pet Shop Boys? Pet Shop Boys are Chris Lowe and Neil Tennant. Neil Tennant, being the singer of the Pet Shop Boys, was also the editor of Smash Hits magazine. He once said that his most interesting thoughts about Smash Hits was interviewing stars who were very famous but were now not as famous as they once were, and when did they notice that the star had slightly dropped off a little bit. And he found that a really interesting study, which brings me back to finish off with Live Aid and Bob Geldof. You can all imagine Bob Geldof in the very early 1980s being a huge star, #1 singles, touring the world, and the star begins to drop a little bit. Still very famous, but not modern famous. So to see the BBC News been so touched by it and wanted to make a difference. What could Bob Geldof do? His power enough was not enough to make a difference. He couldn't get record companies to help him. So he called in a lot of favours, a lot of angry conversations. And to finish it off, Bob Geldof made a difference in his own very, very unique way. I think that's something we should all remember. Red Squirrel Trail that way, Salmon Trail that way, but we're going further on to finish up at the Boat of Garten Heritage Railway Station. There's also on Boat of Garten a lot of beautiful houses that have a view of the Cairngorms and the train just in passing by their window. Remember I said just at the beginning, it's a bit chilly this morning. It's also a bit windy. Yeah, there's definitely some really beautiful houses here and some beautiful views as well. And this is Red Squirrel Lodge. Do come in and wander around our secret garden. A secret garden, don't mind if I do. Very, very slowly. And this is the Boat of Garten Hotel, which is right next door to the Boat of Garten railway station. They even have an old advert for round trees, chocolates and pastels. And a museum, which I think we'll visit another day. So I hope you've enjoyed our very quick run round Boat of Garten on a Monday morning. Day 42 is done. And the adventure continues tomorrow.